Neymar to Paris Saint-Germain for £198 million. It would be a new world record transfer fee by quite some distance if it goes through, but just how can PSG afford to pay this fee without breaking FFP restrictions, and is there still a chance this deal won't go through? Today we're talking about a potential new world record transfer and the inner workings of the deal. There's been so much talk about this transfer, and rightfully so. It is going to smash the world record transfer fee by quite some distance if it goes through, and due to the complexities of the deal, it's highly controversial, and probably one of the most controversial transfers we've seen, not just in recent history, but in football history. So in this video, we're going to start off by explaining the basic details of the transfer, the inner workings of it, and exactly what's going on. When Neymar signed a contract extension in July 2016, Barcelona included a release clause, otherwise known as a buyout clause, of €200 million in the first year, which would then rise to €222 million in the second year and €250 million in the third year. Unfortunately, that's about as simple as it gets. From here on out, the deal is very complex and it's very, very confusing, but stay with me and I'll try my best to explain the transfer and all the inner workings of the deal as well, as simply as I can, which should be quite easy to understand. A buyout clause may seem pretty easy to understand, but actually in La Liga it's a little bit more complex. This clause doesn't mean that any club, providing they have the money, can activate the clause providing they meet the minimum amount required to sign the player without Barcelona being able to reject the fee. It's actually the player who has to buy himself out of his contract and pay the fee themselves, which means that in this particular case, Neymar is required to pay the £198 million transfer fee to his current employers in full in order to leave. Now, we all know that the top football stars of today are mega rich, but surely that's a fee that Neymar himself wouldn't actually pay. He may not have been able to afford to do it right now. So how do PSG pay the clause without actually paying the clause, but pay Neymar to pay the clause? PSG are owned by an organisation called QSI. Now that's short for Qatar Sports Investments. They're based in Doha, the capital of Qatar, and the president of PSG is a man called Nasser Al Khelaifi, who is also the chairman of QSI. Qatar has a very strong interest in French football, largely due to PSG's ownership, and football has been increasing in popularity in the region for quite some time now, and in 2022, they'll also be hosting the World Cup for the first time ever after winning the bid to host it back in December 2010. So what's the connection, and why is this relevant? Well, the Qatar bid has come under serious scrutiny over the years for numerous different reasons, and the most noteworthy probably being the climate of Qatar, considered to be far too severe to host a football tournament. There's also several other issues, including homosexuality being illegal in Qatar and concerns for safety of LGBT supporters, and also whether alcohol will be prohibited in fan zones and stadiums as well. There are, of course, other issues, but legally I'm not sure I'm allowed to discuss them. Google Qatar 2022 and I'm sure you'll figure out what those are for yourself. Now, of course, Qatar desperately want to host the World Cup and to do it with minimal fuss as well. And one way to get people on board and deflect controversy is to have global ambassadors that support the mission. Bonus points if they're big football stars. You see where this is going. In 2015, Barcelona legend Xavi signed for Qatari club Al Sadd and as part of the contract became an ambassador for the 2022 World Cup. Now, Qatar would love it if one of the current superstars in world football could also become an ambassador too, so someone like Neymar perhaps would be a good fit. But would he do it if he was just asked to? Probably not. I mean, it's a highly controversial bid that could potentially damage his image, so maybe they could persuade him in some other way. It's being reported that Neymar is about to receive a large lump sum of money of around £200 million from QSI, which of course would enable him to buy out his release clause at Barcelona, in exchange for him becoming an ambassador of the Qatar 2022 World Cup bid, presumably amongst other services too. So this way, PSG won't have to provide on their balance sheet a sum of £198 million, which will put them in serious violation of the FFP regulations because technically, the club weren't directly involved. Kids, valuable lesson for when you grow up. Lots of money plus lots of lawyers enables you to have a lot of freedom and a lot of power. So that's the end of it, right? I mean, QSI are paying Neymar, Neymar's paying Barcelona, the release clause gets met, Neymar signs for Paris Saint-Germain. Seems pretty cut and dry. PSG aren't paying the fee to Barcelona, PSG aren't paying the fee to Neymar, QSI are, and Neymar is paying that money himself to Barcelona. PSG may be owned by QSI, but presumably this deal isn't going through the French club, it's just between QSI and Neymar. So Barcelona and La Liga, don't really have much of a leg to stand on right now. There is one small issue for PSG though that is worth noting, and that's the potential investigation from UEFA due to this deal going through. It's very likely to happen, and if they determine that PSG did indeed act unlawfully in some way, PSG can expect a fine, which obviously will probably be the best case scenario for Paris Saint-Germain because that will be just nothing but pocket money to them. Or perhaps much more concerning, a ban from UEFA European competitions, meaning they may not get the chance to capture that elusive Champions League trophy for a season or two. However, that is quite doubtful, but it is still not beyond the realms of possibility, so worth noting. But I would say that if the deal does go through and they do get investigated and UEFA do prove they acted unlawfully, the most likely outcome is again a fine and potentially a squad size registration restriction. That's about it. So that's basically that. PSG are on the verge of smashing the world transfer fee in one of the most non-conventional ways ever, and one of the most controversial ways ever as well. Football may have changed an awful lot since I was a kid, but one thing's never changed and probably never will. If you've got the money, you've got the power. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, then please do consider leaving a like. Also, let me know in the comment section down below what you think of the transfer fee. Is it ridiculously inflated? Is the world going mad? Or do you just think that PSG are taking advantage of situations that they have full control over right now? Let me know in the comment section down below. And do you think Neymar will capture that Champions League trophy for Paris Saint-Germain? They're desperate for it. Can he provide a success? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. If you're new to the channel, please do click the subscribe button and enable notifications as well. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you for another video very soon. Bye.